Welcome to Quick Speak, the English podcast. Today we're going to spend some time understanding something that is, well, incredibly important for every single person, everywhere. Sleep.
That's right.
We're not just talking about feeling a little tired sometimes. We're going to look closely at why so many people have real trouble sleeping well and what the big picture consequences of this widespread problem are in our modern world.
Exactly. We're exploring sleeplessness, a condition often called insomnia. It's a common word, but what does it actually mean?
Right.
Insomnia isn't just having one bad night. It means you regularly struggle to fall asleep when you want to, or maybe you find it hard to stay asleep through the night.
And this isn't a small problem, is it? I mean, the numbers really show how many people are affected.
They really do. If you look around the world, about 30% of adults say they experience some kind of sleep difficulty, from time to time.
30%, that's quite a lot.
It is. But for many, it's a persistent challenge. About 10% of adults have long-term or chronic insomnia.
And when we say chronic, that means it lasts for a significant time.
Exactly. Chronic insomnia is usually defined as having trouble sleeping, say, at least 3 nights a week.
Okay.
And this difficulty continues for 3 months or longer, so it really becomes a regular part of their life.
Wow.
And in the United States, the numbers are even more, striking. 1 in 5 adults report struggling with sleep every single night.
Every night, that's huge.
It is. And half of all adults in the U.S. say they struggle with sleep at least once a month.
So, struggling every night, that is a significant portion of the population. Does this problem affect everyone equally? Or are some groups more likely to experience insomnia?
Well, the data shows there are differences. Surprisingly to some, maybe young adults.
Young adults.
Yes, specifically those between 18 and 24 years old. They report the highest rates of nightly sleep problems, about 29%.
29%.
Higher than older people.
Yes, older adults over 65 actually report lower rates of nightly problems, around 17%. That is interesting. You might sort of expect sleep to get harder as you age, but the nightly struggle seems higher for the young.
It's a complex issue, definitely. Many influences. We also see a clear difference between sexes.
Oh.
Women are about 40% more likely to develop insomnia than men.
40% more likely. That's a significant difference in risk.
It is. And other factors in your life and circumstances can also increase the likelihood.
Like what?
Things like living in a busy urban area, maybe facing financial stress, or already having other health problems. These are all linked to a higher risk of insomnia.
Right, so your environment and overall situation matter a lot. And if someone develops this long-term insomnia, does it typically resolve on its own? Or does it tend to stick around?
Unfortunately, for a significant number of people, it doesn't just go away quickly. Studies indicate that about 40% of people who have chronic insomnia are still dealing with it 5 years later.
5 years? Wow.
Yes. This highlights that it can be a very lasting problem for many, something they live with for a long time, unless, they get effective help.
So it's clearly a very common and often persistent challenge.
Yeah.
To really understand why this is happening, maybe we should briefly touch on how sleep is supposed to work in a healthy body.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Our body operates on a natural sleep schedule, a cycle that repeats throughout the night.
Okay.
During sleep, we cycle through different stages.
You often hear about REM sleep, right?
Yes. REM stands for rapid eye movement. This is the stage where most dreaming occurs, and the brain is, quite active, actually.
Right.
Before and between REM periods, we have non-REM sleep, which is typically deeper and more physically restorative. These stages repeat throughout the night in cycles.
And what controls all this?
Well, 2 main biological processes are constantly working to control when we sleep and when we are awake.
Okay, what are those 2 processes?
The first is called sleep pressure. This is quite simple, really. The longer you are awake, the more your body builds up a biological need or a pressure to sleep.
Ah, like a buildup.
Exactly. It's like a debt you build up during the day that sleep pays off. The more awake time you have, the stronger the feeling of needing sleep becomes.
Okay, that makes sense. So the longer I'm awake, the more I feel like I need to sleep.
Logical.
Exactly. The second important process is our circadian rhythm.
Oh, yes, the internal clock.
Precisely. It's often described as your body's internal clock. It's a cycle that runs roughly every 24 hours.
Okay.
It influences things like your body temperature, hormone release, and crucially, signaling when you should feel alert and when you should feel sleepy.
And what controls this internal clock, mainly?
One of the most powerful influences is light, particularly sunlight.
Light.
Yes. When light enters your eyes, it signals your brain. This signal affects the production of melatonin.
Melatonin, the sleep hormone.
That's the one. A hormone that helps you feel sleepy. In bright light, your body produces less melatonin, promoting wakefulness. As it gets dark, melatonin production increases, preparing your body for sleep.
And this is where modern life really comes into conflict with our natural sleep systems, isn't it? It really is. One of the most significant disruptions comes from, well, the use of electronic screens, our phones, tablets, laptops, TVs, especially in the evening.
All those screens.
These devices emit blue light.
And blue light is particularly problematic for sleep.
Yes, it is. Blue light is especially effective at suppressing or stopping your body's production of melatonin.
So using screens stops the sleep hormone.
Basically, yes. Using screens that emit blue light in the hours before you go to bed sends a strong signal to your brain that it's daytime, even when it's dark outside.
Wow.
This confuses your internal clock and makes it much harder to feel sleepy and fall asleep naturally.
It's like telling your body the wrong time.
Precisely. Another modern phenomenon that disrupts our rhythm is sometimes called social jet lag.
Social jet lag, what's that?
This happens when your sleep and wake schedule is significantly different between your work days or school days and your days off, like the weekend.
Like waking up early from Monday to Friday, but then sleeping in very late on Saturday and Sunday to catch up.
Exactly that. You might sleep much later on the weekend to try and catch up on lost sleep, but this pushes your internal clock to a later time.
Right.
Then, when Monday morning arrives, you have to abruptly shift back to an earlier schedule. This constant shifting back and forth confuses your circadian rhythm.
I see.
And it makes it harder to get consistent, good quality sleep overall. You feel tired and out of sync, much like you would after traveling across time zones.
That makes perfect sense. Your body never quite knows what time it's supposed to be on. And I suppose even things like the rise of working from home, while flexible, can sometimes blur the lines.
Absolutely.
And make it harder for people to maintain a regular sleep and wake time, further disrupting that rhythm.
Definitely. That lack of structure can be a real challenge for some.
So our busy, light-filled, and sometimes irregular modern lives seem almost, well, designed to make sleep harder. What about our internal state, our feelings and stress levels? How do they connect with sleep problems?
Oh, there's a very strong and complex two-way relationship there. Between our emotional state, things like stress, worry, sadness, and our sleep.
How does that work?
Well, when you are stressed or anxious, your body activates its fight or flight response.
Right, the stress response.
Exactly. This involves releasing stress hormones like cortisol, which make you more alert and vigilant. This is really the opposite of the relaxed state you need to fall asleep.
So it's hard to switch off your mind when you're feeling stressed or worried.
It's very difficult. Your brain is active, your body is tense, and this makes initiating sleep a real struggle.
And it probably goes the other way too.
Unfortunately, yes, it becomes a cycle. Not getting enough sleep makes you feel more irritable, it can heighten your anxiety, and can make feelings of sadness or depression worse.
Wow.
So stress causes insomnia, and then insomnia can make you feel more stressed and anxious, which just perpetuates the problem.
It sounds like a difficult cycle to break.
It really is. The connection with depression is particularly significant. Research indicates that people who suffer from long-term insomnia are about twice as likely to develop depression later on compared to those who sleep well.
Twice as likely.
Yes. And conversely, a large majority of people who have depression also experience sleep problems. This strong overlap suggests that sleep and mood are deeply interconnected.
So just treating one problem, like the mood or just the sleep, might not be enough to truly help someone.
That's an important insight. Studies show that treatments that address both the sleep difficulties and the mood issues together are often more effective.
Okay.
They help people break the cycle and improve their overall well-being.
Right. Okay, beyond our personal habits and feelings, what about our jobs? Do work schedules significantly impact our ability to sleep well?
They certainly can, especially non-traditional schedules. About 20% of the working population has unusual hours.
20%. What kind of hours?
This includes things like night shifts, early morning shifts, or rotating shifts where your work time changes regularly.
So not a standard 9 to 5.
Exactly. These types of schedules directly conflict with our body's natural circadian rhythm, which, as we discussed, is set to be awake during the day and asleep at night.
That must be incredibly disruptive to the body.
It is. This conflict can lead to a condition known as shift work sleep disorder.
Shift work sleep disorder.
Yes. People with this disorder often struggle with excessive sleepiness when they need to be awake for work,
Okay.
and then experience insomnia when they are trying to sleep during their off hours, typically in the daytime.
That sounds both exhausting and potentially, well, dangerous.
It is both. Feeling overly sleepy at work definitely increases the risk of accidents and injuries.
I can imagine.
And over the long term, constantly working against your body's natural clock has been linked to a higher risk of chronic health problems, things like heart disease and mental health conditions.
So it's not just about feeling tired day to day. It can have serious long-term health consequences.
Exactly. And even jobs with less rigid but irregular hours, like maybe those in the modern gig economy, can sometimes create a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And worry around income and scheduling, which can also contribute to stress and fragmented poor quality sleep.
So work can impact sleep, not just from the hours, but also from the nature of the work itself and the stress it creates.
What about the physical place we live? Can our environment affect our sleep?
Absolutely. The environment around you plays a significant role. If you live in an urban area, for example, noise is a major factor.
Like traffic noise.
Yes, constant sounds from traffic, construction, or even neighbors can disturb your sleep. And even if the noise doesn't fully wake you up, it can prevent you from reaching the deeper, more restorative stages of sleep.
So you might not even realize it's affecting you.
Precisely. This chronic disruption from noise has been linked to negative health outcomes over time, such as increased blood pressure.
And cities are also full of artificial light, aren't they? Not just screens. Yes, light pollution from street lights, buildings, signs. It's another environmental factor, similar to the blue light from screens we talked about.
Right.
Constant exposure to artificial light at night can suppress melatonin production, making it harder for your body to prepare for and initiate sleep.
So living in a noisy, brightly lit place can make healthy sleep more challenging. What about an even bigger environmental factor, climate change? Is that impacting our sleep now?
Surprisingly, yes. Recent research suggests that it is.
How so?
Rising global temperatures, a consequence of climate change, mean warmer nights. And warmer temperatures in the bedroom make it harder to fall asleep.
Okay.
And they can lead to waking up more frequently during the night.
Was there a specific study on this? I think I heard something.
Yes, there was one notable study that analyzed sleep data from wearable devices across many countries. A huge amount of data.
And what did it find?
It found that for every 1 degree Celsius increase in nighttime temperature, people slept an average of 10 to 15 minutes less.
10 to 15 minutes less for every degree warmer. That can add up.
It really can. And what's also important is that this impact wasn't equal across the board. The effects of warmer nights on sleep were stronger for older adults, for women, and for individuals with lower incomes.
That's a fascinating and concerning connection. It shows how far-reaching the effects of climate change can be, impacting something as fundamental as sleep.
And disproportionately affecting vulnerable populations, too.
Right. With all these factors making sleep difficult, our lifestyle, stress, work, environment, even the climate, what are the main approaches people use to get help for insomnia?
Well, the most recommended and effective treatment for chronic insomnia, according to medical guidelines, is a type of therapy called CBTI.
CBTI?
Yes, it stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia.
Can you explain what that involves, simply, for our listeners?
Certainly. It's basically a structured program, often delivered by a therapist, sometimes online now, too. It helps people identify and change thoughts and behaviors that are preventing them from sleeping well.
So it targets the thinking and the habits.
Exactly. It includes techniques like establishing a consistent sleep schedule, learning relaxation methods, controlling the time you spend in bed awake, and changing unhelpful beliefs or worries about sleep.
And does it work?
Yes, studies show it's very effective and the benefits are often long-lasting.
That sounds promising because it addresses the root causes, the behavior and thought patterns. Is it widely available?
Well, access to trained CBTI therapists can sometimes be a challenge depending on where you live.
Oh.
This is why there's growing interest in and development of digital or online versions of CBTI programs to try and improve access.
That makes sense. What about sleep medications? Many people turn to those, don't they?
Yes, sleep medications are another option. They can be helpful in the short term.
Short term.
Yes, for example, to help someone get back on track after a period of bad sleep or maybe during an acute stressful event, they can help people fall asleep faster.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
Well, they can have potential side effects. And there's a risk of developing dependence where it becomes difficult to sleep without the medication.
Right.
Data shows that medication use is higher among older adults.
Yeah.
Nearly 12% of those over 65 use sleep medication.
So they might offer quick help, but come with potential downsides, especially for long-term use.
Exactly. For chronic insomnia, CBTI is generally considered the preferred first-line treatment because it addresses the underlying issues and has lasting effects without those risks of long-term medication use.
Okay, that's clear. Beyond therapy and medicine, technology is increasingly involved in monitoring our health. How is tech playing a role in sleep?
We see a lot of technology focused on sleep nowadays, don't we? Wearable devices like smartwatches and fitness trackers.
Right, those trackers?
And smartphone apps are widely used to track sleep. They typically use movement and heart rate data to estimate how long you slept, how efficiently you slept, maybe even try to guess which sleep stages you were in.
Could these devices give you a completely accurate picture of your sleep, though?
Well, they can provide useful insights into your overall sleep patterns. Things like the consistency of your bedtime and wake time or periods of restlessness.
Okay.
However, their accuracy, particularly in precisely identifying sleep stages like REM or deep sleep, is generally not as high as the clinical equipment used in proper sleep studies.
So, useful, but maybe not perfectly precise. And does looking at all this sleep data always help people?
Not always, no. For some individuals, constantly monitoring and analyzing their sleep data can actually create anxiety about sleep.
Anxiety about the data.
Yes, worrying too much about meeting certain goals or numbers that the app gives them. This anxiety about not sleeping well can paradoxically make it harder to sleep. It's a situation sometimes called orthosomnia.
Orthosomnia. Worrying about sleep data makes your sleep worse. That's interesting.
It can be a real issue for some people. There's also work being done using artificial intelligence, or AI.
AI for sleep.
Yes, to analyze sleep data and provide personalized sleep advice. This has potential for tailored recommendations, but it also raises concerns about data privacy.
Ah, yes. Privacy.
These systems collect very detailed and sensitive personal health information, so that's definitely something to consider.
Right. So technology offers new ways to monitor, maybe get some advice, but also new potential challenges like anxiety or privacy concerns. Given all these factors contributing to sleep problems, why is getting enough quality sleep so critically important for our lives? What are the biggest impacts of not sleeping enough?
The consequences of insufficient sleep are, well, wide-ranging and significant. They affect our physical health, our mental abilities, and even the economy.
Let's start with physical health.
Okay. First, there are serious physical health risks. People who consistently don't get enough sleep have a higher risk of developing chronic conditions over time,
Like what kind of conditions?
including type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, unhealthy weight gain, and heart disease. Major issues.
So it affects major systems in the body, not just feeling tired.
Precisely. It also severely impairs our cognitive function, how we think and process information.
Our thinking. How so?
Lack of sleep makes it difficult to concentrate, it reduces our ability to remember things, and negatively impacts our decision-making skills. This impaired thinking can have dangerous consequences, such as increasing the risk of accidents like car crashes or making errors at work.
I can see how that would be true. Your brain just can't function at its best when it's sleep deprived.
Exactly. And the problems caused by poor sleep also have significant costs to society as a whole.
Costs. Like money.
Yes. Healthcare systems incur substantial expenses treating the various health issues linked to chronic sleep deprivation. And there are also economic costs due to reduced productivity, missed workdays, and accidents.
So looking at the full picture, sleep isn't just a nice thing to have if you have time.
Not at all.
It's fundamental to our health, safety, even the functioning of society.
Absolutely. Ensuring we get enough quality sleep is a fundamental pillar of good health, just as important as, say, eating a balanced diet and getting regular exercise. It's a challenge that affects millions globally and warrants serious attention, both from individuals and from a public health perspective.
Yeah.
Perhaps the question for all of us is, how much are we truly prioritizing this essential need in our increasingly demanding modern lives?
That's a really good question to end on. Thank you for walking us through all of this. It's clear that sleep problems are incredibly common, caused by a complex mix of biological, lifestyle, environmental, and even global factors. And the impact on our lives and health is immense.
It truly is. Understanding the different pieces of this puzzle is, I think, key to recognizing the problem and finding ways to improve sleep for individuals and communities.
If you found this topic interesting and want to practice your English while learning about important subjects, please subscribe to Quick Speak, the English podcast. You can also find extra learning materials, including important vocabulary from this episode and exercises to help you practice, on the website. You can find the link in the description for this episode.